Jami-Lee Ross.
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting looking at the general debate, the first general debate for 2016, and watching the faces of the opposition as their leader was speaking. Mr. Speaker, I understand Labor's going through a process of getting rid of some of the old policies that are unpopular, getting rid of some of the things that lost them the election. Well, Mr. Speaker, if they're looking at things that weren't working, they probably need to look at the leader that can't even get 1 in 10 New Zealanders to support him in the opinion polls. If they're looking for something to scrap, Mr. Speaker, I think they saw during that speech the first place that they should look. Mr. Speaker, this government is getting on with the business. This government is growing the economy. This government is growing jobs for New Zealanders. We're delivering better public services for New Zealanders. We're delivering better education outcomes. We're delivering better health outcomes. We're delivering increases in the working for families, increases in child benefits. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot that this government is doing. And when New Zealanders go to the polls in 2017, they're going to ask themselves, can we rely on the government that is delivering a huge amount of benefits for New Zealanders? Or can we rely on an opposition which doesn't even know what its position is on many issues, doesn't even know the policies that it thinks it wants to implement if it's in government, an opposition that doesn't even support free trade for New Zealanders anymore? Mr. Speaker, those are the questions that New Zealanders will be asking themselves. And if we look at the past few months, Mr. Speaker, at some of the things that the Labour Party has been presenting to New Zealanders will really be questioning whether or not Labour is actually fit to govern. Mr. Speaker, I think the first one we can look at is the flag referendum, because New Zealanders will be getting their voting papers in the mail fairly soon. Of course, the Labour Party not that long ago were all in favour of a flag referendum and changing the flag. It wasn't until John Key proposed it that they then had a flip-flop and changed their mind. Mr. Speaker, it wasn't so long ago that the Labour Party was opposed to anything that New Zealanders should be doing in Iraq. But all of a sudden, Andrew Little pops up a few months ago and says all of a sudden he wants to send SAS troops to Iraq. Another flip-flop. Mr. Speaker, in the past week or so, we've heard the Labour Party talking about funding Keytruda. And yes, Mr. Speaker, the government will be looking at the health budgets very carefully in the coming few months. But it wasn't so long ago that they were going up and down the country with the Green Party and with the New Zealand First Party saying, oh, this is terrible, TPP may undermine the Farm Act model. Well, Mr. Speaker, the worst thing that could happen to Farm Act is to have politicians deciding all of the drugs that should be funded, because that's what they're asking us to do. That's what they're asking us to do. And whilst we're on the topic of health, let's just say to Annette King, nobody believes her when she says we've underfunded health. Mr. Speaker, I want to give her some numbers because, Mr. Speaker, the health budget that Labour left was $12.2 billion. The health budget right now is $15.9 billion. Now, I don't know how good she is at maths, but the way I look at it, that's actually an increase in the budget. Nobody believes the Labour Party when they say health has been cut, when actually there's billions of dollars more going into the health budget. Mr. Speaker, I also want to talk about their position on free trade, because it wasn't that long ago they were saying to New Zealanders, actually only weeks ago, we are the party of free trade. We are the party that believes in getting more free trade for New Zealanders. Well, if they really believe that, Mr. Speaker, they should be fronting up and supporting TPP. When they talk about TPP, they claim they have these bottom lines they wish TPP to meet. Well, Mr. Speaker, TPP actually meets every single one of their bottom lines. If they really want to be consistent, they should be coming on this side of the House into the Ayes lobby and supporting the TPP agreement. Mr. Speaker, does it include protections for Farm Act? Yes, it does. Does it include the ability to restrict foreign ownership of land? Yes, it does. Does it protect the Treaty of Waitangi? Yes, it does. Does it result in meaningful gains for farmers? Yes, it does. Most of the TPP tariff benefits actually go to farmers. And, Mr. Speaker, it also ensures that New Zealanders get access to 800 million customers. It ensures that we're part of a big trade agreement that gets out to 40% of the world's GDP. Mr. Speaker, they should be supporting that. The ISDS provisions that they are opposed to as well are exactly what they put in the China FTA and also supported in the Korea FTA. Mr. Speaker, New Zealanders want a government they can rely on. They're getting that under the John Key-led government. There is absolutely no way they would ever get that with the Labour Party.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order.